Hello everybody and welcome back to Dreamhack Winter 2013. You are not Nathanius.
I am not.
You are in control. How are you doing?
Doing well, thanks for asking.
Good. I'm doing great as well. Thanks for asking me. We're going to have some fun here casting together. We casted together at Dreamhack Summer. We had fun then. And we shall repeat it at Dreamhack Winter.
Always a treat to cast with you. Dreamhack, amazing games. We've got 3 days of action-packed StarCraft 2 between 19 of the best players as a championship. Really having a lot of fun with it. I didn't hear, did you guys talk a whole lot about the format? I know that they changed it up for this tournament. I know
yeah, we did talk about the format and the way that obviously the groups play into the double elimination bracket. Maybe some of you are tuning in now. We can go through that in a second, but let's have a quick update on results that have happened so far. And I think Group A really stands out the most. If we can have a look, we have Patience, who's gone 2-0 in his group so far.
Who is that guy, by the way?
Plays for Azubu, was also known as Lucy Prime. Played for Prime.
Okay.
You may have heard Lucy Prime before. Not a player that really achieved much. I think he qualified for Code A once in the 3-year span of StarCraft 2, but not a big player. But at this tournament, 2-0 is pretty impressive.
Somebody had to do it, Sean. It's like every single Dreamhack is absolutely lucky and fortunate to have that one guy that kind of makes their name. And of course, it's the first day. It's early on in the groups. This could completely flip on its head. But for right now, Patience is kind of stealing the show. But, you know, a lot of people are like me. Who the hell is this guy? And why is he beating everybody?
Yeah, and we are, just as you can see, getting ready to load into the game. We'll come back and have a look at the groups again in a second. But Patience going 2-0 in that group, massive upset when it comes to who he's beaten. I mean, he started off against Naniwa, a game where Naniwa probably a lot of people are expecting to win. And then he went down to take out Hyun as well, 2 games to 0.
And Hyun is a super-powered Zerg player. Actually, he's won a Dreamhack this season. He's one of the champions to be playing in this championship tournament.
And then, of course, we have TLO, who's played 1 game, has won 1 game, and we'll be going up against Naniwa. We have Group B on the right-hand side. JYP is tied up versus Port at the moment, but did win his first game against MMA, and you can see the results as hand. But if we just scroll down and have a quick look at the bracket, we can just explain is first and second place of each players will go down to play in the winners round 1, which we can see at the top there. 8 players from 4 groups will go there. The 3rd and 4th places will go down to the bottom left-hand side, losers round 1, and then tomorrow we'll kick off with the double elimination bracket with the 16 remaining players. It's going to be awesome. It will be awesome.
Yeah.
And this next game, well, it's a rematch. These guys have played a lot. Remember, I think we may have even casted it together. Dreamhack Stockholm.
I remember that.
Naniwa versus TLO is this game, and it was a lot of 2-base swarm host play back then against Colossus. And Naniwa lost the first series in group stages back then, but bounced back in the round of 16 to beat TLO in the rematch, to eliminate him from the tournament. But here they are meeting once again.
It was pretty dominant fashion, too, and it was interesting because I do remember moments from that first series where TLO and Naniwa played, and it was really cool. Like the Belcher Vestige game, I remember it was some really clutch Nidus play and some forward stack defenses with the Swarm host.
Yeah.
And then that second series where Naniwa needed to win later in the tournament, he put him down pretty hard. But I almost want to say both these players since that period of time have actually improved. I feel like Naniwa, when he has played in tournaments, has been of that championship caliber. We saw him take almost a win. Was it IEM New York that he took second place?
That's right.
He's looking really good there. And then TLO, of course, still chasing that big win for him, but making deeper runs and playing better, I would just say, which is kind of I don't have anything solid to go on, but I just feel that's true.
Yep, I would have to agree with you there. So here we are in the first game, the first map of this best of 3. And up here, of course, from Sweden, playing for Team Alliance, having a fantastic year so far. It's none other than Naniwa. Making it to BlizzCon as the only non-Korean of 16 players that were there. As you said, 2 second-place finishes this year, Dreamhack Stockholm and in the Intel Extreme Masters in New York. But down here is a player that I spoke to very briefly before, feeling confident more so than ever before, playing for Team Liquid. It's TLO.
Naniwa having an incredible year, like you said. This is a year that it's of note. No foreigner has won a major tournament. Naniwa coming close twice, like you said, but still foreigners kind of looking for that person to grab the torch and really march it forward. Is it Scarlet? I mean, is it Naniwa? Is it Huck? Some of these players that are kind of needing to come up because we don't have the Stefano anymore.
Yeah. And I mean, if we look at, Naniwa's side of things, I'm pretty sure this year, and Dreamhack, most importantly, has been so focused on Naniwa's Protoss versus Zerg.
Yeah.
I mean, the finals at Dreamhack Stockholm against Lenok, his rivalry with Jadong, his semi-small rivalry with TLO. There's just been multiple stories. I mean, at the Industry Masters New York, he played against Hyun in the finals, another Zerg player. It's always about Naniwa's Protoss versus Zerg. And here we are again. He's facing off against TLO, another Zerg player. What are we going to see from Naniwa? And that's, whenever he enters a tournament, it almost feels like, okay, what is Naniwa going to show us today?
Well, it's interesting you should say that too, because there's I feel like there's two different Naniwas, and I think this is the point you're getting at. There's the guy that just won a couple of matches or is just feeling supremely confident. That's the guy you really have to be afraid of, because damn it, he can take tournaments down, and he's one of the few foreigners that I feel like it's safe to say that about. But then there's the Naniwa that perhaps loses a series he feels like he shouldn't have. Something flusters him. If you do follow him on Twitter, this might be one of those moments where you recognize, Naniwa might be a little bit off his rocker. He might be a little bit perturbed. And when that happens, a player like TLO in particular, by the way, the kind of guy that, like, no one's looking at TLO as the mechanical mastermind, the absolute best Zerg in any lands, you know, but he's crafty, he's intelligent, he's creative. He'll do things to disrupt you. And if he does that to Naniwa earlier on in the series, we could see him go full-blown Naniwa all over the place.
All right, so first question coming in here. We do have Naniwa, who's decided to go double gases here. Usual trends with Naniwa's Protoss versus Zerg, he'll stick on one, he'll get the Mothership core nice and fast and go over towards taking the Nexus at a good time here. But as we can see, that's not the case. He's opened up with one Zealot already, I think, moving across the map. I think he may have a second one just about to pop. And then he's got a second gas behind it. What is he looking really to do with this opening?
Well, with two Zealots like that, the only thing you could possibly be looking to do is perhaps apply some light pressure on a third, which is a little bit well, okay, we can see what's happening here. Naniwa's actually going to check on what should be the more standard third base. TLO being TLO has taken the more substandard third base. Now, Naniwa scouts that. Does he check the other third? Because if he doesn't, Sean, this is going to be some serious misinformation, because he's playing greedy as TLO.
Yeah.
He's going for a pretty fast 3-hatch with gas. Two Zealots could be hugely annoying, especially with the Mothership core, but if he doesn't know.
Well, he is going to move down. It looks like he is going to check it. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the only scout we've seen from Naniwa in this game. So the way that Zerg players have played against Naniwa in the past, they've gone 3 hatcheries blindly against his Gateway Expand. So I feel that these two Zealots were definitely there to kind of ruffle some feathers if that was the case that we were going to see. But as we can see, they didn't really do anything in this game.
At least initially. That second Zealot did hang back, perhaps worried about some kind of early pool play or something along that line. The Mothership core and the two Zealots will make it out here. Unfortunately, well, I got a little bit ahead of myself. I expected a queen at this third base, but TLO stretched himself as thin as he can go. He has speed just started, some drones coming out. Actually, this third is going to be pestered.
All right, well, two Zealots and a Mothership core without a queen or Zerglings in production. This actually could do a lot. The queen from the natural is not going to make it stand over there. Yeah. Could he lose this hatch? Is that an option here if the Zealots keep hitting it?
No, I mean, if there was anything more, a third Zealot, a stalker, something, that gets really feasible in my mind. But this queen should pop out. It only takes one queen. That second queen's coming out here just for safety, and there's enough Zerglings to hold this off. So now the big question is, does anyone want to warp out of here for two Zealots, or do you save the energy?
Well, we're about to find out what is the choice that Naniwa wants to make here. He's just letting the shields get picked up on that first Zealot, and he is going to recall out here. And does get out. So he's got the Forge back at home, by the way. He's got that +1 attack, 3 sentries being warped in, double gases on the natural. No tech choice yet from Naniwa as TLO actively searching for it. Does find the Forge, but doesn't see anything else.
Love this Overlord. It's roughly 7 minutes in, so if there was any kind of critical tech like a Stargate or a Robo, this would have been scouted right now, but as we can see, there is not. So the next question then is, well, I feel like it's going to be answered. It's almost not even a question. Does Naniwa use this army to go grab a fast third Nexus? Or is he going to apply some pressure? This third base that TLO took, that is the closer third, and this is not a gigantic map. So the risk-reward here, of course, is that pressure here could be very dangerous. The reward would be that if the Zerg can establish this base, is that not a great launching point for attacking the Protoss third later in the game? And
as you say, there is the third base with this handful of units, and I would like to just look at the two options you put out there. Either attack out there or take a third. Yeah. This option is the better one. If anyone was watching TLO, he just went crazy with Zerglings all over the place, looking at every crook and nanny, looking for a pylon, looking for that aggressive standpoint. Nothing was found. He spotted the third nice and early. So Naniwa now with +1 attack, Twilight Council coming in. I'm pretty sure he'll be going over to Blink most likely, +2 as well. But what does TLO do? The sentry core on the wrong side there, unfortunately. But what do you think TLO's going to do with the information gathered? Is he going to start to pressure this third base? Is he going to get over there, get in Naniwa's face, put the the pressure on immediately?
Yeah. It's almost like some kind of weird biological reaction from most Zergs. When that fast third goes down on a base like this, or excuse me, a map like this where holding a third is very difficult, a lot of times the Zergs will just blow up into production. We can see kind of a middle-of-the-road pathway being taken by TLO in the sense that he's still, look at that, 7 more drones coming out. He is going to Hydra's Den, so I do feel like it's going to be Roach Hydra. Forget Spire. This map's very wide open. You can get that done. But he's going to let this third go for a little while.
With the third base that TLO has out there, with the creep spread which will push forward onto the high ground, the elevation area in the middle of this map, how dangerous can a big Hydra attack be here? With Blink and +2, there's no splash damage, there's no Tempo Archives, there's no Mass Void Ray player, or there's no Colossus. And the creep pushing towards Naniwa. Is he in threat here?
He's in big trouble. I mean, this map, if you look at that third, it's even far off from that ramp, which is a sizable ramp, so that automatically causes problems. But because it's far away, you can't even get really clutch force fields sealing off that ramp and then chewing down chunks of Zerg. So Naniwa's playing the safer style. Like going Blink Sentry here, that's the best answer for the most problems. But unfortunately, Zergs these days are just driving out the Hydralisk. And unless you make a beeline to either Storm or Colossus, I guess that third option is you land some sick-ass force fields, but on this map, where do they come from? I don't know. It's very wide open.
Well, let's find those sick-ass force fields here as Naniwa's getting eager himself. Blink is not too far away. +2 attack is quite a distance, but it's TLO that I'm looked at right now who has the supplier lead, who is going to start to get his Hydralisk into this. Remember, there's force fields and a time warp. Also recall available here for Naniwa. Where is he going? Great spread here by TLO. He's going to come in from multiple angles.
Pretty good situation for Naniwa for the time being. If there ever was one, the Mothership Core does go down. It does get both its time stops down. Nice force fields on the left side there.
A lot of force fields
But
wasted.
my big concern is, okay, there is a warp in behind this, but there's just, I don't know, there's just too much Zerg here.
That's a lot of Zerg. And Naniwa does reinforce with Stalkers. They do have Blink. Remember, the Robotics Facility is behind this. But TLO has a lot of units.
Too much.
There's a lot of damage being dealt out to the Blink Stalkers here.
Yeah, he's blinking beautifully back, but the Hydras behind are doing so much damage. All the sentries are gone. The Mothership is dead. These Stalkers are limping back. TLO has won the day, at least for now. His creep spread up top is really good. He needs to be careful, though, because if there was some kind of giant swell of Stalkers, which there's not,
he may try to go for the win now, though. With Hydra speed on the way, he realizes he's beaten down the first attack with ease. He realizes there's no splash damage. His unit count is much higher. 50 supply difference. TLO could take map number 1 here if he's able to launch this attack properly. There's only 3 force fields.
This is it. I mean, the force fields are ineffective. There they go. They do trap some of the roaches, but at this point in time, even those roaches are a threat. TLO's going to back away. I think that's an interesting choice. He probably had a very favorable fight there, but he's going to play it safe. If you look up at that production tab, there's no AoE coming out. It's just more Stalkers. And unfortunately, these Hydras stack really well against those Stalkers.
Oh, this is not looking good here for the Swedish player, the #1 player outside of Korea. I think it's safe to say for this year, as he's on the back foot. There's not many force fields left. Good time warps. He is buying time. He does have +2. He does have Blink, but 12 additional roaches. The supply is still 50 between them. But with probes being picked off on the right-hand side, the Nexus taking damage. Can Naniwa survive this?
I'll tell you what, no. But if he could, let's do that caster thing where we make it sound super exciting. There's no 4th base for TLO. If somehow Naniwa can start snowball, well, there you go.
No, he cannot.
Not even a how.
And TLO, very happy with that. Very happy indeed with that victory. And he takes map number 1. I remember that both of these players do have history against each other, whether it be maps and games taken away from each other. TLO loves to beat Naniwa. Likewise, Naniwa loves to slap TLO down always, as Naniwa has been publicly seen to be creative player. This guy's not very good. They always have this back and forth, so this does mean a lot to both of them. And considering TLO's already won his first game in his group and Naniwa's lost his first game in the group, it means more than just this little rivalry between them.
And he's feeling the pressure. Like, I mean, Naniwa is, we started off by talking about this, and it's not just us in love with Naniwa or something like that. The expectation for Naniwa is when he enters a tournament, he will be in that top 4. Foreigner or Korean, it doesn't matter. He's one of those players that will do that. Here he is trailing 0-1 after already losing the first series to some guy named Patience. Now he's trailing 0-1 to TLO, a player that I'm guessing if you asked Naniwa, he would say that he is dirt beneath his feet. He does not belong in the same series. But here he is, 0-1. Does he tilt?
Well, we've seen Naniwa in some very tilting, emotionally, positions before, but he hasn't crumbled to it. He said to himself, he said to others in interviews, I have a lot of experience on stage. I don't like to let it get to me that often. But is this the time? Is he be able to, keep calm, keep strong, and take the next game? TLO is laughing on stage, and I saw you chuckling as well in control.
He loves it. He came over here. He sat down with us. He was talking about this next series, and he said, I want to F up Naniwa. I want to F him up. And I love that about TLO. I love that he's the kind of competitor that when he knows there's a little bit of extra something on that match, he rises to the occasion. He has fun with it, and I think that's really cool.
So the other game that was going on in Group B, by the way, that we were kind of following before this game started was JYP versus Port. JYP took the game 2-1, is now 2-0 in his group. Port is 0-2 now in Group B as the results are coming in. And, well, some not going the way as a lot of people would have expected so far.
No, I think it's interesting. Even for me as a teammate of JYP, like, I didn't know what current form this guy is in. I feel like if you're not inside the WCS system kicking some serious butt, a lot of times you kind of fall off the radar a little bit. And I think JYP is one of those players that did happen to. I mean, in early pro league, he was doing great. He was one of the guys with the best records. He's been a staple of the EG squad for a while now, but you don't hear about him because he hasn't been able to do it in WCS.
Well, he could be doing it here at this tournament with 2 games won already. TLO's got 1 game won already. He could get a second if he's able to do this, and that's going to set them so close, if not already, top 4. It'd be very difficult to get last place. You have to lose all the games with a very bad record. They are setting themselves up to move on to the playoffs, which will be 16 players competing for that all-important $75,000 prize pool, starting at $3,000 for an 8th place finish, going all the way up to $30,000 for first place. A lot of money on the line. But I think what a lot of players here want to get is that top 8, to play on the stage, to play in front of the crowd, to play with all the lights and lasers and
actual lasers, by the way.
Actual lasers. And it's always fun. It's always fun when we get to that part of the show.
I figure with this many Protoss players in the field, it's only fair that you do add lasers to the show.
6 Protoss champions over the 15 tournaments at Dreamhack. There's always going to be a lot of lasers.
Yeah, but 1/3 of that's been Hero, right?
Yeah.
Can he do it again?
Lasers got
third in a row.
His own lasers.
That guy turns it on.
He does.
But after seeing what Tasia did to him at Home Story Cup, holy cow.
These 2 players will be playing once we get into Group C and D later this afternoon.
Super excited about it. Let's go ahead and introduce these players. Top left-hand side, the German from Team Liquid. It is TLO. And his opponent, representing the fine people in the country of Sweden, it is the Alliance's Naniwa. And he is sending out an early probe. This man has Titanic steel balls inside of his pants.
Well, he's placed down his original pylon over the right-hand side here, but are we going to see
Never
a forge
mind.
come down? Will we see an early forge?
Yeah, he saw the fairly fast 3 hatch from the game before and said,
well, he's in there already,
do it.
And TLO surely can't try to get a hatchery down here. And Naniwa has opted not to throw down the forge immediately. Oh, it is down, though. It is down. It is down.
All right.
There's the spawning pool. What is Naniwa looking to do with this?
Still cannon. I mean, it's a 15 spawning pool. You make 1 more drone typically, then you go for the hatch. A lot of times Protoss players these days are trying to act all coy, and they're like, oh no, you dropped the hatch. I meant to block that. But then they cannon rush the ever-living crap out of it. Watch this. Let's see if Naniwa actually goes for the block, or if he... Oh, what's that? You wanted to drop your hatchery? Let's see. Might do it. See that little bit? He was asking for it right there, I'm telling you. But he didn't do it.
I'm waiting.
TLO's snuffing this out.
Well, Naniwa.
Now he's just going to block.
Well, he's got the forge down. It doesn't look like he's going to cannon rush. The spawning pool's done by now, and it's a little bit late, so...
It's the earlier one. If the hatch goes down right away when he gives him that little bit of space, cannon rush. But now, no. Next is
what do you make about the very early probe scout? Since both builds are now going to sort themselves out, we're not going to really see anything impact the game for a little bit here. What do you think about Naniwa sending the probe so early? Was he looking to get a cannon rush on? Was he scared about anything that could come from TLO, knowing how TLO likes to go early pools potentially?
I've spoken with TLO about his EVP, and he has told me that he, if he could, would 3 hatch before pool every single game, knowing that his opponent will 1-gate expand. We know that Naniwa favors the 1-gate expansion style. Last game, both players opened up conservatively with their respective styles. Like you saw the double gas from Naniwa, which is just a little bit slower of a Nexus, but still a little bit safer in terms of tech switching. And then from TLO, we saw 2-hatch pool, but then a fairly fast third, which is still, you know, of the ilk of that greedy 3-hatch before pool, but on the safer side. This time around, with 1 game advantage, Naniwa wanted to make sure that he wasn't going to get econ cheese, so to speak.
All right, well, the probe from Naniwa has been found here. Nice pick up there by TLO. It's always a comfort when you find that probe hiding away.
Yes.
I wonder where Naniwa's going to go, though. So as his Cybernetics core will be built, where does he go? Is he going to play more traditional Stargate play? Is he going to play to players that he looks up to? Deer, SOS.
Yeah.
Is he going to be playing a Stargate play? Does he try to go for a Parting S robotics facility style where he could go for some form of immortal 2-base push towards TLO? A lot of options here from Naniwa, but I have a feeling that Void Rays are going to be a common factor in his Protoss vs. Zerg games this weekend.
He is very much so known for being a champion of the Void Ray in the PvZ matchup in particular. And for that very reason, actually going into BlizzCon, had a chat with him there as well, he talked about how he changed up his PvZ because a lot of people were hard countering him. He would see 6, 7, 8 queens showing up to attacks with very limited information. He's like, okay, hang on, people are starting to figure me out. So he changed things up. Now, that was BlizzCon. This is Dreamhack winner. Has he once again changed up? I'm not sure, but you asked a really cool question because in these positions, there it is. Well, no, excuse me, I was expecting that to be a Stargate, but Stargate play is super common right now, but because they're fairly close in spawn locations, and these third bases are kind of wide open and susceptible to an arc of, you know, Hydralisks, Roaches, or Queens, sometimes players shy away from that, and we can see here, Fast Twilight Council, I think it's DT, but it'll be a blink follow-up.
All right, well, Naniwa really changing it up because the most two common are the one described, Stargate and Robotics Facility. The Twilight Council is a lot less common because you really need this to work. If it gets scouted, you almost just set yourself behind the game, and TLO is at a bit of an advantage, and the game can spiral out of control. So here is the Dark Shrine coming in. He will be going for Dark Templars, but one thing I can see on the minimap, or should I say don't see, is any Overlord that's in really good position.
Yes, and it's going to scout right now, Apollo.
But if he turns around with a Stalker, which he has out already...
Well, here's the thing. He's going to scout fresh, young gases being taken at the natural. That does not scream DT. You don't look at that and say, oh, he's going DT. Now, if you look at the top end of the map for Naniwa, as long as this Overlord dies, which it should...
He's got 3 spores on production, though. He has detection already.
Son of a
And they must
bitch.
be in every mineral line, I would imagine.
Canceled them. Canceled them.
He cancelled them.
Why? What did he see? What does he think?
Well, he saw the late gases there. He didn't... No, did he spot the Nexus? Check that Overlord for me
let's
just
check
there,
the
down
vision
south.
on that.
Did he spot that third Nexus?
He did see the third Nexus.
Okay, so the Overlord down south has seen this third Nexus, so he's really changed up his plan. He's thrown down double Hydralisk dens now to get range and speed at the same time to go for an attack towards his third base with Hydralisks. But it looks like there is one Spore Crawler completed inside the main base here. There isn't one on the third, and there isn't one on the natural. These DTs could do a lot here for Naniwa.
They have to. Well, actually, you know what I kind of like about this opening is they don't necessarily super have to. That third's going to go down uncontested. If you look up there, there's actually 2 Hydralisk dens being made. I wonder if that's purposely being done. I feel like it is. A lot of Lings coming out.
This is actually something which happens a lot in the European civil upgrades to really power the attack of Hydralisk here. But for example, if we were to see the third or the natural get picked up by DTs, does TLO spot it? He has a layer. He can morph Overseers.
He saw it.
He spotted it. This is a very early pickup here by TLO. He's walling off with Evolution Chambers.
Yep.
If he completes his defense without taking too many losses and then counterattacks with a Hydra push, this could be massive. Excellent wall here from TLO.
Gosu as ever were. There were a Gosu player. It's a weird way to say that.
Oh, this is massive, and now the third base can be covered. No damage from this. And now going over to double Stargates. This is Void Rays against Hydras with fast upgrades, speed and range. They're going to be flying across to the other side of the map. Does Naniwa, through having a fast third base, through delaying a lot of his tech and units, have enough to successfully defend with a failed DT play that slowed him down against this inevitable attack that TLO is going to launch?
Well, he's just going pure Hydras in Zergling. There's not even a Roach being conceived at this point in time. Spore Crawlers and Spine Crawlers in the background going down just to make sure that like a DT counterattack doesn't get the job done. I think for this first push, I'm going to go out on a limb. I do feel like Naniwa should be pretty okay. I think Photon Overcharge, some form of ground units, and it should be about 6 Void Rays at that time. Could hold off this first attack. My big question is, can he sustain that? Because TLO is not a player to be confused by this composition. He will make the mass queens. He will spread the creep across and perhaps go Infestor behind it, but he knows how to handle this composition.
Well, TLO is down on drones. He's pumping out an army. Let's find out how well this can work out. He's looking to get in there. They're all force fields ready. He doesn't want to waste them. He doesn't have that many, and he hasn't wasted any yet. As TLO's trying to bait them out. He's trying to get that sentry. Oh, pick up of a sentry. No force fields used, no guardian shield either. And now the Void Rays come in, but is this where TLO can pick up this game? Naniwa's control is going to have to be excellent.
Good force fields do pin those Hydros on the wrong side, but there's not a lot in the way of Void Rays here. Photon Overcharge does go down in the background. Mothership Core left back, and it looks like TLO will have to back away for now. And if you look at the production tab, you can see there's still no drones coming out, just Hydros and Ling. He's going to go for the pressure. Very importantly in the background, though, the gateways did finish for our Protoss player. He should be able to make enough production to make this close.
It's just a couple of Zealots and a couple of Void Rays right now. There's no flood control, there's no sentries with this. The Mothership Core's out there. Is Naniwa going to be able to do it? One Void Ray is being targeted down. It gets picked off there from TLO, but a lot of Hydralists in return are also dying here.
Zealot charge.
Zealot charge is a massive upgrade here for Naniwa.
I feel like for the time being, he's done it. Apollo, I really do. Naniwa's about to have charge lots. Yes, he's had individual Void Rays focused down, but he still has several here with 2 more out or coming out, excuse me. These Zealots are biding their time. The Hydros count not super high. Still no drones behind this and no 4th base. If Naniwa holds, he's going to be in fantastic position.
Absolutely. An amazing position the Swede would be in with a low drone count, no 4th base. He would absolutely be able to do a lot with the rest of this game. The Overseer goes down, which means 1 DT could cause havoc to these Hydras. 3 Overseers getting warped in, and Naniwa is surviving. He's supply block, likewise is TLO, but he's surviving.
Naniwa has to be careful as well, though. He doesn't have this gigantic glob of units behind. The Hydros are exposed, okay? So any charge lots that come in, they should be able to run down these units and start to get in critical damage, because there's no Lings to buffer or Roaches in front of this. Wow, look at that. Okay, so that being said, you can't rely on not having detection over here. 3 Overseers are going to lock that down. Here's that big fight, though, and the Hydros, again, now fighting both Zealots and Void Rays at the same time with the Photon Overcharge. I think TLO has to back up. I don't know that he can do it. 12 Roaches about to come out, though. That's a big deal.
That's a big deal. Roach speed on the way, plus 2 attack about to finish for these units as well. And Naniwa continues to hold this position. So far, so good for the Swede. Up against it at the moment, but the pressure continues to be launched. There's no units, no 4th base, just units, says TLO.
Yeah.
Is he going to break Naniwa? Because he has to. If he doesn't break Naniwa soon, the Void Ray count gets too high. The Templar Archives I just saw finished up, so Storm is going to be on the way soon. This is a very important part of the game for both players.
Hugely important. TLO is putting it all on the line right now, leading 1-0 in this best of 3. He could defeat Naniwa in a big win, but force fields do go down. Void Rays getting the nice connections. A lot of Hydros getting pinned on the wrong side of force fields. He will back away, but the force fields will buy him time. TLO does not want to squirt past those because he will be putting himself in a terrible situation. But look at this. Those Void Rays have hit a critical mass. The Hydros count is at its all-time low at this point in time. And yes, the Roaches are nice, but I don't think it's enough.
Nah, I'm not too sure either right now. The Void Ray's pushing this back, and Naniwa does push TLO back. And actually looking confident with his movement out there, being able to continue to warp in units. TLO pushes forward once again here, but Naniwa continues to hold the supply. Is not that difference between them, just 20-30 supply difference. Another round of units. Good force fields just about there. There is a 4th one that comes in, and that is the money force field there, keeping those units away from each other. And Naniwa with a massive Void Ray count, up to 10 Void Rays. He's going to slaughter this army and looks like he could take this game away from TLO.
The big deal here is that those Void Rays have hit snowball levels. Look at the production tab. You see now it's just Hydros and Lings. The Roach tech is going to be abandoned for the time being because he says, wait a second, I don't even have enough anti-air to deal with just the Void Rays. Who cares about Roach at that point in time? He's going to go Infestation Pit behind this. But as you've been pointing out all game long, no additional drones, no 4th base. He has a macro hatch as natural, I think, and that's about all he's got going for him. No, not even a macro hatch, excuse me. So it's just been 3 hatch production. TLO has effectively all in. Naniwa would have to throw this away to lose the game. But with that many sentries and his kind of control, I don't know if it's possible.
Yeah, fantastic hold here by Naniwa, and he pushes himself forward with a forward pylon and will be looking to pick up this game here if he takes his next fight. I'm sure TLO would love to try to get over to Infestor's Pathogen Glands would be the choice, I'd imagine, from this Infestation Pit, but a little too late for that as Naniwa does move forward. A nice position from TLO coming from different angles, but force fields will slow that down a little bit here.
He's going to seal off that left side and trap anything that wants to dare come in. There it is. Naniwa has slammed the door shut on TLO's all-in. TLO is letting the information soak for right now, but we're going to go to game number 3 because this has been a defense for the ages. Really nicely done by Naniwa. You can see why he likes the Void Rays. He's really good at this style.
Yeah, he's very good at this style. Great control, an excellent game here from Naniwa as he launches himself over towards TLO's 3rd base. Drones come off the line. Mothership Core gets picked off, but I think that's the least of Naniwa's worries as the Void Ray counts at such a high count that the Hydras aren't really going to be able to get to them close because there's way too many sentries, Zealots underneath them now.
You know, it is over, but I like TLO. I mean, why not? And there's only the risk, really, of pissing off Naniwa and kind of once again threatening the tilt factor, but these force fields just locking down this Hydralisk. Really nicely played by Naniwa. And you know what? You asked the question earlier on, like, why did he go early probe scout, changing things up? He's a one-gate expand kind of player, but this time we see Nexus first. What is he going to pull out in game number 3? We've seen the double-gate proxy. Is he going to go crazy or just play conservatively?
Yeah, we'll have to find out here. These Void Rays are starting to get surrounded by these Hydras, but there still should be enough here to pick them up. TLO is dropping quite fast in supply, and with continued reinforcements from Zealots. TLO is sticking in this game because he can. He's going to fight till the last man. The last drone has been eliminated. And there is the GG called. Naniwa equalizes the series, and we are going to game number 3 here.
Really well done. I mean, it on paper looked to be about as bad as it possibly could be for going failed DT opening into straight double Stargate. I mean, he went literally double Hydralisk Den, Ling Hydra. That's it. And there was no money wasted on anything else. There's no loss from those DTs, but through just sheer will and control. And anyway, I want to say it didn't look close. There was times where it was kind of close, but he wasn't really in danger of losing, I didn't feel. Like, it didn't get that vibe.
Yeah, I mean, with only a single DT investment, a much faster third base, and being able to keep that alive to kind of repower himself up, he was able to eventually hold on versus the surge of TLO. But that does lead us on to our next map, which is going to be Derelict Watcher. And as time has told us throughout the year within the World Championship Series in both Premier Leagues, North America, Europe, and Korea, that this map, this matchup, does slightly favor the Zerg player a little bit.
It absolutely does. It's very wide open, so a lot of the issues we talked about potentially kind of showing their face here in this last game once again become very much so true. If you fight in that middle area, you better have like 20 sentries if you're going to try to get enough meaningful force fields down. But we've seen some Protoss players, SOS namely, even shy away from sentries because they kind of say, well, guess what? If the map's going to take force fields out of my tool belt, out of my abilities, then I'm going to use that gas on faster things like 6 or 7 Phoenix versus just 4 or 5. Really fast Colossus to follow that up. Naniwa is a student of these Protoss players. I'm going to be very interested to see if he goes like 2 or 3 Sentry, fast third Nexus, Phoenix into Colossus.
All right, we'll find out as we're just a couple of players. Both of the players just want a couple of seconds here before we do jump into the next one. This is a very important map for both sides, really.
Yeah.
Especially TLO, who did win his first game, is now in slot of looking towards a top 4 finish in this group. He's able to pick this up and continue to move forward on. But Naniwa lost his first game against Patience, which is arguably the more important part of both of these players. Yeah. Going down 0-2 is a position you don't want to be in as a player in a 5-man group where 4 players move through. But the map is now ready, so let's take ourselves over to Derelict Watcher for the third map between Naniwa and TLO.
All right, let's introduce these players. Top right-hand side, having the series tied up, it is Team Liquid's TLO. And in the lower left-hand side, the bad boy from StarCraft 2. It is Sweden and Alliance's Naniwa. Talked about format change earlier. I like that right now all these games are meaningful. Placing in the top 2, of course, kind of gives you new life in the bracket. Taking 3rd or 4th means that you're 1 loss away from being eliminated. Of course, taking 5th means that you are actually eliminated. But something else that's different as well is that both players get to veto a map from the best of 3, and then the remaining maps are randomized in that best of 3. So Naniwa has been quite unhappy with that particular part of this format, as I've seen in both the game lobbies, but then also on Twitter. So kind of it is different. It certainly is. And a lot of these top players, like a good friend of mine, Idra, they don't like when random and chance is entered into the mix artificially.
Yep, Naniwa definitely doesn't like that.
No, he
doesn't like a lot of things. But one thing he does like is playing StarCraft 2, and of course winning, which is a thing that we haven't really seen from him this year. Hasn't been able to pick up a big StarCraft 2 tournament, but he's of course one of the headliners. He is the man when it comes to non-Korean StarCraft 2 players, and he's continued to show that through amazing results at many different tournaments. And he's had a really good year, not so much within the WCS Premier League itself. He actually never really did anything superb there, but through outside tournaments, double second places, getting a couple of points here and there in Premier League, was able to qualify for BlizzCon at the end of the year. But TLO's had, a relatively successful year himself with multiple high finishes. He's played at 3 Dreamhack tournaments, being able to finish round of 16, round of 8, round of 32. These are all good results.
Yeah.
And 3rd place at Home Story Cup 7, I think it was, when they were all top 3. Team Liquid, that is. So both players having a good year. But this is the end of the year for a lot of players right now. This is one of the last tournaments of 2013.
Yeah, it's interesting. You bring up a really good point that Naniwa hasn't had the most spectacular WCS season, and I think it's interesting to look back on because he was doing part of WCS Europe from Korea, which was him kind of wanting to have his pie and eat it too, so to speak. Like he was training in Korea because he knew that was the best place to train. He felt like Europe was the easier place to try and compete for WCS, but then playing from that Korean server against the very skilled European players, and a lot of the Koreans actually went over to the European WCS. It didn't pan out. We didn't get that Naniwa WCS championship. We didn't get those big runs that a lot of people get really, really behind. But as you said, he did, by the skin of his teeth, qualify for BlizzCon, which is really cool, actually, because he did it through a fantastic run at IEM New York. And then at BlizzCon, he did pretty okay for himself as well, for a foreigner.
Dodged a lot of bullets, having other players aid him out and so on.
Yeah.
But now coming into Derelict Watcher, we have TLO here, who is set up quite nicely. No guesses taken yet at all, focusing on 4 queens. So he's got 2 built already, 2 more coming out.
Yeah.
4 queens nice and early on here. Naniwa's just gone for his more standard opening here, just a gateway expand once again.
I almost wonder, we actually see an Overlord being hunted here on the 6 o'clock part of the map, but that Overlord has some sick intuition because it's not going to test the waters just yet anyways. But this different, in terms of the builds, we've seen a different build from both these players each game. Game 1 and 2 is fairly similar for TLO. Oh, actually that Overlord is going to get hunted down. But as we can see here, even now with, what is that? Yeah, up to 4 queens. I feel like the builds have lined up really nicely for Naniwa finally. Like TLO is playing very conservatively. If there's any kind of aggression coming his way, these additional queens would be fantastic. The lack of gas and now the higher load of gas favoring him in terms of defense. We can see the double Evo chambers going down there for the Zerg as well. But Naniwa's in a fantastic spot. He picks off an Overlord that would have otherwise scouted his main base and looked for tech. There's a pair of Zerglings scouting the 3rd base, but they can be easily dealt with as well. Naniwa's in the driver's seat here, I feel, early on.
TLO has spotted the double gateway forge on the natural. He's also opted to throw down double evolution chambers before going for Zergling speed, bear in mind. So these upgrades are fast, and I'd imagine that he'd be going over for Zergling upgrades here, playing a very heavy Zergling style against
Fast
Naniwa.
and thick, actually.
Yeah, fast and thick.
Yeah.
Carapace and melee now being researched, so we are going to have a heavy Zergling style coming out from TLO. It is a nice style here to deny the 3rd base to be able to play on such an open, wide map here. But what is Naniwa looking to do?
Look at this, though. Spine Crawler behind as well.
Well, I mean, without Zergling speed, he only has queens and slow Zerglings as defense.
My point being, though, is he has no idea. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't know if there's a pylon out here.
Oh, TLO.
No, TLO, yeah. He's got 4 queens, which is already an investment in what I would say would be like that gateway defense. But to your point, because he doesn't know what's coming, it could have been a 6 gate, in which case he would need something like a Spine Crawler because of the lack of speed. But he just doesn't know. He's in that dark. And right now, Naniwa's just trying to be annoying. I guess he's going to have to recall out if he wants to save that Stalker, which I think he will. Just trying to buy some time. But back at home, we can see from Naniwa, there's that Twilight Council, albeit a slow one. So this is going to be for Blink first.
Well, Naniwa's build, for what I can see, just doesn't really match up very well against what TLO has. Naniwa hasn't scouted. He's got no information. Only just now sending out Hallucinated Phoenix. He doesn't know about the double evolution chambers. And if we look at what Naniwa's setting up, with +1 attack almost finished, +2 on the way, he's going to be having a majority of Stalkers, I'd imagine. His Stalker count's going to start to rise up with Blink, I'd imagine, being next. But against Zerglings only, with a Baneling Nest down as well, against any Zealots, if we were to see any, I'm not too sure that Naniwa's in a good position here. He's invested a lot into what we can see, but is it good against what TLO has?
I would... It's not even devil's advocate. I guess I kind of just disagree with you. I feel like it's a fantastic position. There's no...
Okay.
TLO doesn't have the macro hatch. He just now has his 3rd hatch. He's going to spend the remaining amount of his money on this 2-2 upgrade, even an Infestation Pit right now. So as long as there's straight chrono boosting going on with that Twilight Council, we should see a gigantic number of Stalkers and what looks like to be about 6 sentries, maybe 5. Yep, 5 moving out. Now, if he takes a 3rd, I change my opinion. I flip it right around and say I agree with you. I think this is a great position for TLO. But as far as a 2-base all-in goes, I feel like it favors Naniwa as long as he can stop the Zerglings from counterattacking.
Well, the pylon wall-off has been completed. The Chronoboost is going in, so we'll see how well this is going to work out. Naniwa's going to go for it. He's got +2 attack quite away from being finished. Blink is on the way. A lot of Zerglings out already here
they're
for
going to
TLO.
whiff. Okay, he does see it, though. This is a really big deal because he needs to get these force fields engaged in the middle of the map. He's going to try the counterattack. That's fine. You do have to try for that. Now he's going to tackle all these Stalkers. And actually, with no Blink, he does have them trapped. This is really bad for Naniwa. These units are desperately needed, and they're going to die. There's a probe still out in the middle of the map, so a pylon will be able to be put down there. With Spinecrows up here, though, TLO's identified this quite well.
2-2 is on the way. There's a lot of gas piling up for TLO, and he's got Pathogen Glands coming too, so he's actually going over to infest. It's going to be able to stop these Stalkers from blinking. Naniwa is on creep. Yeah. TLO is launching this counterattack. He may be able to get that forward. He might have to use a couple of force fields to stop that from going down, otherwise he's going to lose his +2 attack here.
He does.
And he does lose +2 attack. The force field is there to actually stop the Zerglings from getting in.
And another lean counterattack, and this is such good call. Well, terrible English. Such a good call from TLO, excuse me. Because he does have, I mean, he's going to have to use more force fields, he's going to have to warp in more sentries, but these are all units away from the attack. And you can see here he's going to try that ramp.
He's pulling his drones because he just needs to wait for the Infestors. The Infestors come out, including the Spinecrawlers dealing out their damage as well. But the counterattack on the other side, doing a lot here. And TLO, from what it seems, is in a pretty good position.
Yeah, he certainly is. This naturally has been corrupted. He's going to have to recall back. The Zerglings are going to make a beeline for the main base. They'll get a few more probes there. There are some Zealots waiting for him. So, of course, these Zerglings are dead. But as far as 2-base all-ins go, look, the third hatch still not killed. The drones were pulled from there. So if TLO wants, he can resaturate here in just a few moments. He now has Infestors. He's got these beefy 2-2 Zerglings coming out against a 1-0-0 upgraded Protoss army. Naniwa's in a lot of trouble.
Naniwa is in dire straits at this moment. 1-1 apiece. The winner of this series is going to take it. And TLO would go up 2-0. Naniwa would go down 0-2. This is very important. And Naniwa must move out again. He cannot just sit back and take a third base. He cannot just play defensive. He has to go again. But with the Spinecrawlers coming down, multiple Fungals available, and the 2-2 upgrades.
Yeah,
this is going to be so hard to break.
He left behind 4 sentries, and I mean, that's his way of saying, well, I feel like you're going to counterattack forever. But if you're this far behind, I also feel like you have to take a certain risk. Like, you can't. He needs 3 of those 4 sentries up here, and then he needs to say to himself, well, I feel like, well, he's going to blink up here. He should get this third, I say.
Well, where are the Fungals? And here, there's one, and that's a good chunk of Stalkers. 6-7 Stalkers caught there. Good force fields there by Naniwa from the low ground with those sentries, and a couple of those Stalkers do escape. So nice play there by Naniwa. Oh, catches 2 of the Infestors. Nice play.
Really nicely done, actually. A lot of those, just 3 Infestors remaining, I think 2 Fungals. Mothership Core is closing in on energy. Yep, it does have enough for another time warp. That's a lot of Stalkers here, and there's just not enough Zerglings. So yeah, the Fungals are nice, but he's hitting deep Fungals, which means if there's no follow-up, those units are just going to regenerate their shields, and they'll be okay.
Look at the supply differences here. TLO's the one that's behind. It's Naniwa who's on the high ground. He's dealing out a lot of damage. More and more units are being pushed across here, but Naniwa's Blink stalking back here.
His unit count is high. He's got sentries on the low ground. He did lose that Mothership Core, but this third's dead. And that being said, the worst news is that TLO tried to defend it, so he lost a lot of Zerglings. He's retreating to, what, 2 Infestors, and there's no Spinecrawlers. I feel like Naniwa just kind of blink micros for the win from here on out.
Wow, that was excellent play with the force fields there, and Naniwa being in such a desperate situation was able to pull something out. And look at it, he's brought down the third base here. He's got 7 Zealots coming in as well. And wow, army supply 80 to 36. TLO must be feeling terrible.
He's going to be kicking himself, Sean. He was so far ahead for a few moments there, but he just got a little bit too eager about that third base. He went Spire and Hydralis at the same time, again with no macro hatch, so he just never had enough units. The Infestors were a nice idea, but with nothing to back them up, we can see here that Naniwa has controlled and decided his way into a beautiful win, 2-1 in favor of Naniwa. And he is thrilled about it.
He is thrilled. Happy about that.
Good God, contain yourself, Naniwa.
Naniwa now goes 1-1 at Dreamhack Winter. Lost his first game, won his second. TLO likewise is now 1-1. Won his first, lost his second. Excellent play there from Naniwa. Really pulling a miracle, you could say, in that last couple of moments there. Pulling something out of the bag that didn't look likely to happen. And it is Naniwa that picks up that series, keeping his tournament alive here. Now 1-1 in Group B.
Those lings in the natural, I thought it was as bad as it could possibly get. He recalls back home. He's losing his forward pylons. Like I felt like I was looking at the beginning of what all of us Protoss players recognize as the end of a game for them in a PvZ. But it's worth noting that, yes, TLO did have a lot of really well-upgraded Zerglings out there, but when you only have 3 hatcheries at most, a lot of times those Zerglings are more expensive than what you know, because it's those 2 Zerglings versus additional drones or having units that can actually do more than what 2 Zerglings can, like Hydros and Roaches and stuff like that.
All right, well, there's still a long road left here in Group A. Just looking at this, it looks like Naniwa's next game is up against Hyun, and that'll be on this stream, on this stage right away, and that's going to be one to follow. We'll be covering that again, but it looks like the winner's interview is ready. Take it away, Smix, with Naniwa.
Guys, I'm here with Naniwa. Congratulations, Naniwa. That was an incredibly nail-biting series. I feel like whenever it comes to you, and even if it seems like you're behind, you always fight so hard and come back and amaze everyone with your play. I really want to focus on that second game because you showed, how strong you are with your Void Ray Zealot opening, and I actually want to talk to you about that because it seems that in standard macro games and in your PvZ, you seem to prefer that build a lot. And kind of, I just want to ask why you prefer that build over other styles.
The reason I prefer Void Rays is because, my timing sense is not as good as my other. Like, my best feature as a player is my control. So I want a unit mix that even when I'm behind, I can always come back if I play really well. And like, if you play a normal style, you have to rely on all these small things you scout and react all the time. But if you just play Void Rays, you just have to control very, very well, and you'll be fine. So I just like to be more, safe.
All right, speaking about, coming back after you're behind, in that third game, it seemed that you had all but lost and TLO seemed extremely ahead. Can you just talk about your mindset and what was going on in that game and how you were able to come back and take that?
I think I played really bad in every game I played so far at this Dreamhack, but I hope I can come back. In the last game, I thought I had lost when he attacked my probes. Like, my economy was quite damaged, but I had a lot of gas stockpiled up. So I had a lot of money for stalkers, so I thought my only chance is to counterattack. But I actually thought he would do a mainly bust at my expansion again. So I left a few sentries there, but he didn't do it. So the thing about Zergling against Blink Stalkers is you have to snowball. Even if you Protoss or Zerg, if he gets, if he does not have enough links, then he will lose, right? So you can't make very many links from 3 hatch, so if he can't kill my army, then I will just go stronger and stronger and stronger, and he will die eventually. So I don't know how to describe it. I was a bit lucky, I think.
Well, your next opponent is going to be Hyun, and you actually played him recently, and so I want to see what your thoughts are going into that. You just played him recently, so you have that experience. How confident are you against him?
Well, as I said, I'm not playing my best, but I think I can play my best against him because I really respect him as a player. So I won't really mind if I lose or so. It's no big deal. But still, of course, I want to win. I didn't come here to lose. So if things work out in my favor, then I can take it 2-0. But 2-1 would be enough.
All right, congrats, Naniwa. I know you have to play again against Hyun, so good luck in your games. Now continue to cheer for him as, he just showed an amazing series here, so make sure you show him your support on Twitter. Guys, we're going to head into that series really quick, Naniwa versus Hyun, but stay tuned. We're going to cut to a quick commercial break.